Hey Saints Nations, Teran Mullins, Assistant Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, here with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson in honor of our annual Martin Luther King celebration. We spent the day talking through one of his books and also doing our afternoon lecture, and it's been an amazing experience. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. And so we wanted to just chat a little bit about maybe some of the takeaways that we can deliver to students who may have missed the event.
Sure.
And so my first question is, what should college students, particularly college students, be doing around their thinking to improve race relations, or racism, as you put it earlier, in America, on campus, in their own personal communities?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to shout out Dean Teran Mullins, one of the great young men I've ever met. We've been hanging out for more than a decade. This is my man, 50 grand, as they would say in the hood. You know, I think that's an excellent question. I think that, look, young students are what our hope, is where our hope resides. So if young people can get a hold of interesting ideas to change the world, then we can have a laboratory, an experiment within their own minds, their own circles, their own groups, to really model behavior that can really ultimately change this world. Now, there's no automatic assumption that younger people will have more enlightened ideas about race. That was the assumption. Even President Obama assumed that, you know, younger people are better. In many ways, that's true. Around, there was a Pew report done around the issue of interracial marriage. They were different from their parents, interracial relationships. But it found that aside from interracial relationships, many young white millennials believe the same thing about race that their parents and grandparents did. That was astonishing to many people, but it's true. We spend too much time talking about race. Let's not focus on difference, right? This is young people. So what we have to do is to create a beachhead of opportunity and consciousness raising among this young generation, taking classes, reading books, thinking more historically than presentist. Let's not do recency. Let's do long haul. And when we do that in our curricula, then we began to challenge young people to think about their lives in relationship to bigger ideas and larger historical sweeps than they're used to thinking about. And then when it comes to race in particular, to challenge notions of white privilege, unconscious racial bias, how we talk about race in ways that either don't implicate us as white Americans, or that don't include a broad variety of ideas and identities in constituting what America is. So when we do that, it's important for young people to be part of that, to be involved with that, to think critically about their lives and about the ways in which they're going to make decisions pretty soon. If you're 19, 20, 21 years old, you're going to be pretty soon making decisions that will affect resources for millions of people. So let's catch them early. Let's make sure that they're speaking about issues that are of ultimate importance, and figure out ways to get the curriculum to do some of this legwork by forcing our students to think about social history and theory in ways that are far different than what we've been taught so far.
Yeah. So you named this earlier. 10 years ago we met, and I had the opportunity to really understand and meet what I would call it, my first black intellectual. And since then I've been able to watch and read and learn and absorb all the content and things that you put out. And one of the things that you named today that was so great for me personally was how you've blended your knowledge of community in Detroit, seminary school, the PhD at Princeton, and all of that, which gives you the ability to speak in a way that earlier you weaved in Jay-Z, Biggie, and historical literature. And so how can I think one of the things millennials, Gen Z, we want to live in this authentic person, right? We want to be ourselves all the time. How do you really work to take all your lived experiences and put them to use for good, for justice?
That's a great question. Look, you've got to, be honest to everything you are. All the portions and shapes and elements of your identity, you've got to embrace them. And most of us, we're not born with a silver spoon in our mouths. We're not born in a nice neighborhood necessarily. And we're not necessarily born with the knowledge that we possess. So we got to look at how we learned, how we came from a street or a block or a rough experience, what we derived from that to give us a sense of our humanity, and then to blend those together. Because if we don't take seriously our integrity, I mean, I think millennials and Gen Xers are, is it Gen Z or Gen X? Gen Z, that's right. I got to get these alphabets right, But the thing is, is that they do place a high premium. You all do place a high premium on realness and authenticity, and not just, you know, bull feathering our way through, but to open up and tell the truth. I think that's a beautiful impulse. And I think older people like me, baby boomers and the like, have to take that kind of thing seriously. We're used to shielding ourselves or ducking out from the revelation of the personal stakes. And I think that, you know, the millennials and Gen Z have forced us to do that. And then secondly, you know, not to be lying. You know, we would tell white lies and, you know, convenient truths and let's not rock the boat. Y'all are about, nope, let's tell the truth. And that's part of what social media will do. Now, we done seen you, we done know what you said, stop lying. Oh, okay. So now we've got to come full force and to face fully you know, the things that we should confront that we haven't confronted, that we haven't talked about. And I think that, again, bringing the rich array of identities, because everybody is more than one identity. You know, I've been a preacher, I am a preacher, but I've been a pastor, you know, and did that for 3 different churches. I teach at many different schools. I'm a writer and thinker and activist. You got to wear all those different hats. And when you do that and you're honest to all of them, they allow one to check the other. I don't want to get too much of an egghead or abstract, like you're talking theory, but it's not rooted in reality. But then again, I don't want to just talk about reality without some sense of history. So you want to bring those things together. The church, you know, the old theologian Karl Barth said, go into the pulpit with a Bible in one hand and a newspaper in the other. So in this case, maybe TMZ and the New International Version. So we gotta be aware of what's happening in this world. But young people do like the notion of being authentic to yourself and bringing something real. Don't just pander. Don't just do this because you think young people will like it. Sometimes you got to challenge young people. Some people want to be challenged. They want to think more seriously and critically about what they're doing. So when you bring all that stuff together, I think that young people can learn a lesson that you can be open and honest and tell the truth about who you are, and at the same time to see the need for historical reasoning, for historical knowledge, and for gathering in the old school ways that my generation majored in, and then together bringing those 2 generations together at their best.
Yeah. So I know this time of the year is hectic for you. Everybody's asking you to come and do King celebrations, and so we're very honored to have you back in St. Louis. We're back to have you at Maryville University for the first time. I'm sure this won't be your last.
Thank you.
But for those of us, we've attended 2 sessions with you, and people may not have been able to get to everything.
Sure.
What would be your call or the thing you would want to leave to our campus to know about, you know, the message that you gave all day today?
Right. Well, look, an appreciation for diversity and complicated and nuanced ways of thinking. It's not simplistic. Let's not be reductionistic. It's not black and white. It's a lot more complicated than that. Race, class, gender, sexual orientation, region, religion, that stuff is not simplistic. And so let's honor the complication and the nuance. And then I think that, look, even if you have been a victim of oppression, you can oppress. So on Martin Luther King Jr., since we're celebrating Dr. King's legacy, was an incredible man. But at the March on Washington, there were no women allowed on the platform. They weren't speaking. Dorothy Height didn't have a speech that day. So even as you confront racial oppression, you can reproduce gender oppression. So the moment we began to see that it's race and class, gender, sexual orientation, this intersectionality, as the scholar Kim Crenshaw calls it. When you look at how these things intersect with each other and how they make a difference, it's not just you being poor, but being poor, black, and female makes a heck of a difference. So the way in which those identities converge, or when we think about issues, don't just think about race. Think about race in relationship to gender, in relationship to region, in relationship to religion, in relationship to class. So those kind of things are important, and that's what I tried to stress today. Let's be complicated, let's be nuanced, let's be self-critical. If we are talking about racism, let's also talk about sexism and homophobia. And if we're being critical about the ways in which we have resisted white supremacy, social injustice, and economic inequality, and gender oppression, let's figure out ways, and misogyny, and patriarchy, and sexism, let's figure out ways we can combat them at the same time. And when we do that together, we get a bigger audience. There are more people, poor white people, poor black, brown, red, and yellow people, people who have been victims of various forms of racism and classism and sexism and homophobia. If we bind together, we're the majority in this country. And when we do that, we can see that a progressive agenda of acknowledging pain and struggle, but at the same time putting forth effort to transform the world, will be something that we can do and pursue together.
Brother, that was powerful, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for
Always,
coming to
Dean.
Maryville.
Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you, man. To see you grow from where you started to where you are now, it's an amazing thing. I can't wait to see the next 10 years.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to cross paths sooner than later.
No doubt. You'll be president of the school. All right, thank you, brother.